Every time, I'll tell you, every time you see those red rogue ninjas, you see a million of them on a page, that's a happy writer. Because everyone's trying to get that perfect ninja page.
He put a million on a page.
And I've been chasing it. Lemieux, you gave it to me on the cover of one of my new Avengers, and it was full of perfect ninjas. And it calmed me down for like 2 years with ninjas. I just kept chasing that, and I finally got my ninjas. So, anyway. What was the question?
Get your ninjas. That's the lesson to take away.
You have a question?
Yeah, being married, is it easier for you to work together, you know, working and writing and doing the art in the same room, or do you kind of finish each other's sentences when writing?
It's easier until it's not.
That's right.
Because when it goes wrong, it's even more wrong, because it's like,
I watch them disagree. It's awesome.
Yeah, because you can't like go, oh, screw that, I'm just going to go home. Like, wait.
But also, if you write something that's just impossible to draw, I'll tell you that it's
don't
impossible.
do that, no.
Yes, you do. I'll tell you that you do, and I will tell you why.
I feel a reality show coming.
We've had our disagreements, yeah, but it's a lot easier. I mean, we're spoiled in Portland because we have so many creators around here that we can actually just talk to each other and things like that. So a lot of the problems that we've worked out, all of us up here except for Brian are in Periscope Studios. So I mean, we sometimes work, you know, within the studio, and it's very nice to work with someone that you can just look over and say, that's not what I meant, because as a writer in comics, the artist is the first translator, and like any translation, it's like, you know, between 30 or 90% right. So it's nice to be able to kind of sway it towards the, you know, I meant this, I understand I didn't describe it very well now.
Yeah, with Underground, if Parker wrote something that I wasn't quite sure about, I could walk over to him and not just ask him to describe what the characters are doing. I could pull out a digital camera, and he could take the pose he's talking about and actually just pose.
And you two are practically married.
A couple of times we did hold little dolls, or whatever. Mostly we try to drag in other studio mates and make them get the silly poses, and then later put the picture out like a bunch of jerks.
Yeah, definitely. Being married.
Interns have to do it all the time. It's
It's great. They're just standing on tables, taking their shirt off.
Yeah, it's
like
walk past
Guantanamo.
our studio and this guy just looking like he's getting shot. Just,
Yeah, we have some air guns. They're totally props.
And we forget about that sometimes. We'll be walking down the hall with like an air, you know, on the just like that, and there's somebody in the elevator going,
This guy
Guy walked out.
Yeah, true story. One of our guys had been on a 3-day all-nighter to beat a deadline
Working,
on a project.
not drinking.
Yeah. He stumbled in with the stubble and the bags under his eyes and the eyes at half-mast, and he needed to get this really great replica gun, one of those Japanese cigarette lighters that doesn't have the little fake orange thing on the front of it. So he just grabbed this thing and walked out of the room with his hand in the trigger and started to get on the elevator.
That's really not about being married, but it's
No.
kind of cool.
it's close.
It's about being responsible for each other. Yes.
How do you guys all, as creators, you know, everybody working for Marvel, how do you like compartmentalize creatively? Like, what's a Marvel idea and what's your own individual creator-owned thing? Especially in light of, you guys, you know, all obviously all preach the, you know, imperativeness of getting your own stuff out there and everything, versus working for like the big company stuff, which is sometimes more bankable, but yet then we're in a market right now where there's sometimes like a glut of, say, the recent cancellation of the Thor title lately and everything, just like self-strangling. Like, how do you balance getting like the big money ideas versus, you know, putting your own creator-owned stuff out there?
I'm a believer. If your name's on the book, you treat it as if you own it. Even if you delude yourself into thinking you own SpiderMan that week. You know, I see guys that the paycheck players. I think that's the Jerry Maguire.
They don't last.
They don't last, and they work so hard. It's so hard to break in. You break in and you start going, and then you turn into a paycheck player, and you will be replaced immediately. But the guys who have something to say, that are honestly, truly in love with these characters as if their life depended on it, and with the same verve that you would to create your own book. Those are the guys that seem to go the distance. But it's even more important to go distance. There's a very good chance, personally, that if I literally cured cancer tomorrow, the first line on my obituary would be Ultimate Spider-Man writer. You know what I mean? And that's fine. I'm completely happy with that. I'm completely happy with that. So I should make sure that all of those are rather good, because that would be nice. And also, nothing has gotten me more of an audience from my creator-owned work than kicking a little ass when I can on the mainstream. Nothing. And I was in Spin Magazine, Rolling Stone, and no one was buying my shit. I mean, nothing. And then I got on SpiderMan, and all my books ticked up. And so, if it's anything, it's just like, if you would like more of this, I actually have something over here you might like. So, and then there's ideas like Powers. Marvel's not going to let me kill Captain America to have a murder investigation. So you think, all right, that one I might keep for myself. So a lot of them, it just becomes obvious to you. That's a Spider-Man story. That's something that's about my life that I may not want to, put out there. So
Yeah, the stories themselves will divide themselves, but I've never ever said, I have this great idea. In fact, it's too good for Marvel because I won't own it. Because like Ryan said, if you start to play this story is really good, therefore I'll use it elsewhere, you're gone. Besides, I'm completely aware it's delusional, but when I'm writing Spider-Man, I feel like he's my character.
Yep.
Absolutely feel like he's my character. So.
And even when it's a character that you might not be personally invested in up until that point, when it becomes assigned to you and you start telling that story and writing it and thinking about what the motivation is, it becomes the most important thing in your life.
That's just it. I mean, if you're writing the character, he is your character. If I'm writing what Spider-Man says, he's my character for that little bit. So yeah, it's 100% investment.
Isn't that going to break your heart when you get?
Oh yeah.
When
Brian, when what happens? When what?
he means like when you're done with the book and you have to watch Ed Brubaker, pretty much. Is there any kids in here? It someone's making out with your girlfriend in front of you. It may be better. You find yourself, even if it's a good friend taking over the book from you, you find yourself maybe needing to distance yourself a little, maybe take a few months break before you can go back into reading it. Yeah, that does happen.
You're singing Jesse's Girls in the shower.
It can be a little weird, but it's weird. Like I know you know what I'm talking about, and you do too. While you're there, you're totally there, and when you're done,
You're done.
you've taken that passion and put it onto something else, and you can look fondly. Hopefully, you can look fondly back. Hopefully, you had a positive experience and look back. It really, I know it sounds crazy. It always feels like the girlfriend metaphor keeps popping in, and it's even more than just the character. It's the artist you're working with. For me, one of the artists I'm working with is a very intimate relationship, right? And we're done with the project, and they move on to something else, and we're still friends. But you do feel like I know why Mark Bagley went to do JLA. I totally get it. But I'm like, you feel like you broke up for no reason. Like, when we're pals, we're to this day. We were talking on the phone the other day. But you do feel like you understand when you break up with someone, but there was no reason. So it's weird. So I tend to weird out my artist friends when I talk about this publicly. They're like, dude, you like me? But it does. The artist and the character you get weird with.
I was trying to work with Declan Shalvey, the artist, for a long time, really pushing him, and then it didn't work because Jeff got him.
And I still got it.
I didn't talk to Jeff for like weeks after that. It was just like, no, if you're going to be seeing him.
He's my Irish boyfriend.
When any of your work comes out, like in a book, at what percent kind of are you happy when it goes? Because I imagine that everything you aren't 100% happy with, but like, is it 70, is it 80? Are you reasonably happy with most of the stuff that comes out, or sometimes are you very disappointed? And how do you react to something that's put out that you're like, that just isn't what I saw when I wrote it or drew it?
I think if you stay involved in the process the entire time, you don't have any reason to be that way. You're going to pretty much get what you kept pushing for, and some may be a little more work than others. you know, when I'm working with Gabe Hardman on Hulk or Atlas or whatever, I can describe something, he knows what I'm talking about, and then he's going to make it better than what I wrote and everything. I don't really even have to, and he's going to catch stuff, you know, along the way. But then when I'm working with somebody, you know, where we don't have the same thought processes, you know, it's like, I don't mind it. They can interpret it their way up to a point, but if it's getting off the track that it needs to be on for the story, you know, then I got to keep chiming in, and then I'll just say, sorry, I'll buy you a sandwich, but please make this blah blah blah, and then Frank Martin, please color this so that this did this, and you know, there are some writers I've heard of who will not work, you know, don't really want to deal with the artist. They'll just turn in the script and they don't want it to be edited, and you know, and then they just quit Superman.
Turn that camera off.
Sorry. Yeah, I just think collaboration is going to get you where you need, what you want more, and you really ought to reach out with if you're the writer, you ought to reach out to the artist and say, look, can you make a wish list of things you like to draw and things that maybe you're good at that no one knows you're good at and stuff like that, and I will try my best to get those things in there and stuff. And then they really, the main thing artists react to is they can tell how hard you worked on the script. You can't fool them. You know, it's, you know, they may be nice or something, but they can tell when you really did your homework and you really put meaning into it, and then they give it all back. You know, so.
You know, it's a tough question to answer because, you know, you don't want to ruin the experience for the reader. You know, and sometimes people will completely love something that you, for whatever personal reason, can't stand, and there's nothing wrong with it unless I point it out to you, and then it's ruined. You know what I mean? So I tend not to. Do people go, what's your favorite? What's your least favorite? You know, the only damn thing I learned in art school was it's never finished. It's just done. You finished it. Now go make another one. You know, and you kind of get to that. Like we all know guys whose names you've forgotten because they're still working on that same book they've been working since 1995, and they're trying to make it perfect. You know, and that's a huge mistake. And I tend to go more the Woody Allen route, which is they ask him, why do you make the same movie over and over? And he goes, because eventually I'll get it right. And that's most artists that I know or appreciate. You get that sense that they're on some track, even if they couldn't put their finger on it, of discovery. And they'll just keep doing it. And maybe if you put it all together, there's the answer. But, you know, you can't get boggled down with whatchamacallit. But what you said before that I laughed at, but man, it's true. But what drives me nuts is that we have certain peers that do not embrace the magic of collaboration. It's the best thing in the world. Completely addicted to it. The number one reason I write so much is because I can't get enough of it. I love it.
Get your email box filled with great art.
Oh, it's the best.
Every
I woke
morning,
up this morning, Alan Davis, John Romita Jr., Alex, it's just filled. I get so charged up I can't go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
You know, and these guys who cut that off from themselves, they don't allow that to be part of their creative life, drives me crazy, and they never get the result they hope for.
And it'll give you the energy to just sit down when you don't feel like writing. You'll suddenly get all charged up because it just came in. They just breathed life into it, and then you go, "Oh, well, I got to make this even better," and you just get into it.
Yeah, there you go. There's the answer to a question.
But if you're collaborating with anybody, make sure they get some. Okay, go ahead.
What tips do you guys have for breaking the marble?
We'd rather you didn't. You know what? Honestly, the number one is make your own book, man. Don't worry about Marvel. No one here was worrying about Marvel. We all produced work that we had to get out of our system or we were going to kill somebody. Do that work, and then after you're done with it, figure out a way to market it smartly. You have to, first you're the artist and you just do it. And then when it's done, take a step back and become the marketing guy, put on a different hat and go, how can I get this work out to the right people? And then if you're lucky,